It is 3:30 in the morning. I am out working as an Uber driver and had an early start this morning. I had a really great conversation. Another one. I know, it's like, oh. Anyway, this one here I wanted to talk about just a little bit. A young guy on his way home from a concert last night. And we were talking about what he does for work, and he feels stuck. He feels stuck in this job where there's no opportunity for advancements. He's not recognized for the work that he does, and he just feels like he's stuck. And he's in his early 20s. And so the context of our conversation took us to the point where I was sharing with him my experience. I've gone through a few different degrees in life, and I went through a few different degrees, and like that's a lot of years in university context. And the reason I went through so many degrees I was sharing with him is because as I went through these different degrees, I was sensing by the end of these degrees, this was not a good fit. This is not where I wanted my life to go. This is not what I wanted to invest my life. And I told him, if I'd stuck with these things and made a career, I would have had that sense and the feeling that I'm not where I need to be, but I got comfortable. I got comfortable because now I have a career, I've got a home, I've got obligations and economic commitments and all these things. And I would still feel like I'm missing that thing that I was made for. But the way it worked out, and it's not that I planned it this way, but I kept striving. I'm like, okay, this is not it. I'm going to try again. And I kept trying it again and again until I found out more about myself. And I told him one of the key things is getting to know ourselves well enough to know what it is that we're super passionate about. Because when we don't do that, we get locked into something for life that just doesn't fill our bucket. It doesn't fill our cup of satisfaction. And as a result, we sort of settle for, and then we get to the end of our life, like so many, and there's that regret, there's that sense of missing out, there's that sense where you're like, I wish I had taken the courageous step of starting again, regardless of the money and the time that you may feel you've wasted, so that you could find out what it is that you're made for. And I was telling him, you're still young in your early 20s, don't settle for it. Basically, like, keep striving for looking for experiences that help you to know more about yourself. It's a risky thing. It's not guaranteed. You may not make it in whichever ways that you're trying out, but at least you are learning more about yourself. And that's what I found for me, is that I'm in this space right now where I know so much about what makes me tick, what my goals are. I've got this sense of ambition and striving for. I'm just getting a tip from him again. At the end of the ride, he was saying again the same thing I've heard from so many, and that he's like, this is like the best Uber ride ever. And I asked him, but why? And he said, because you talk to me about real things, about life, about things that make me think, and I can't help but wonder that there's some element in that whereby we have that opportunity to make the most even of our connections in life. For me, I rarely ever have like boring conversations, because I want to get to the juicy stuff. I want to get to the stuff that really matters. I want to get to the part about how we feel about things, the things that we dream about, the things we're scared about, the things that make us tick. That's where you start finding your passion. That's when you start finding out more about yourself. And I was even seeing just a glimmer with him, saying, okay, this is not it, but there's something more that could be it. There's something for which we're made for that stretches us and moves us into that zone of willing to take risks, willing to take those steps that aren't guaranteed because we're striving for something more. And so, I want to share that because for me, it's something that really translates, right? And so, I hope that serves you, because, for me, I get stoked when I see people who are in that space where they're like, I'm here on purpose, there's something I'm accomplishing, and I'm doing it, I'm pursuing it. And there's nothing so satisfying than to see someone who is in that space. And I guess that's the point of this video is, are you settling for? Are you in that space where you've sort of given up the fight because you're just kind of coasting? I mean, coasting in life, for me, I think about what it's like to coast, and I don't know, it just makes me sad at some level that you're not focusing and honing in your energy on something that helps you progress, right? It's like I know there's some people with this condition, but imagine like watching someone who doesn't have the capacity of growing and progressing and maturing. They're just they've hit their ceiling. You're like, oh, like, especially if it's, especially if it's in a context where they're lacking those significant skills. I am thinking, for example, of some individuals who don't have the capacity maybe to grow and mature as adults, and yet they're an adult now with still a child's mind. That's like one of the things that you're like, oh man, I mean, they make life work, but in a certain sense, there's a sadness there, right? Because there's so much potential that could have been, but they're not going to experience that. Imagine what that's like when you're living life in this zone here, where you're like not experiencing that. Yeah. So anyway, I hope this is some encouragement for you who are listening to this right now, that life is so worthwhile living that you don't want to get to the end of it and say, I wish I had done this. I wish I'd extended myself a little bit more this way. I wish I had the courage to step out and do what I wanted instead of being scared of what other people thought of, right? Anyway, it's worthwhile. It's not too late to get to know you, because you're an amazing specimen of existence in this amazing place we call the world. Get out there and start getting to know yourself and taking risks and making memories as you learn more about yourself to accomplish amazing things. I think we're all capable of it. We just need that nudge, that encouragement sometimes. This is it. Have a great day.